I lost my father 6 years ago. I was just 16 at the time, and it was the biggest emotional challenge I had to endure until that. Grief has been a part of my life for a long time, and with the necessity of growing up in a matter of weeks, all that happened was suppressed inside me. In 2019, I played Greece for the first time. I felt everything Greece was feeling during the game, and related to her perspective. I was left with the urge to understand grief, to figure out everything I went through. Every single one of us will eventually deal with grief, a slow and painful process that causes extremely impacting changes in our lives. But what we become after it is what differs us. Greece is about grief, about loss, pain, but most importantly, Greece is about growth. My name is Gabriel, and in the first video of the end credits we are going to talk a little bit about the stages of grief in Greece. Greece, Spanish for grey. This is how the world feels during the pain of loss. An obscure and shapeless monster that will follow you for the rest of your life. A world without colors and with no reasons to move on. Greece is complex, and even though its linearity, we have a narrative full of meanings and a story that is told with kindness, mechanics, music, and an almost unquelled beauty. The game has no text nor dialogues. Everything is told with animation and colors. The plot may be a little confusing for a distracted player, but during her journey we understand with certain ease where we are and what is being told to us. This is your official warning. Major spoilers ahead. Every chapter of the game is a direct representation of the stages of grief from the Kubler-Ross model, where it is proposed that the grief is divided into 5 parts. The model appeared in the 1969's book On Death and Dying, written by the Swiss psychiatric Elisabeth Kubler-Ross, and got a lot of attention during the following decades. It is really important to say that the model is considered dated, as there is not any concrete proof or empirical evidence of its existence, even more considering that grief is not a simple and linear process. Everything starts with the loss of safety. With it, color fades and her voice goes away. The world is painted grey and the statue breaks. Greece refuses to let it go and falls into a sea of nothing. The first chapter of the game, the Nile, starts monochromatic, and as soon as we take control of the protagonist, she refuses to stand up. During the Nile, we see escape from reality, the creation of an ideal place, grey and empty, made so there is no necessity to accept the existence of the problem. According to Elizabeth, the Nile is the shortest stage of the process of grief, and we see that reflecting on the game. On this stage, we are presented with the basic mechanics, and besides that, feel, for the first time, the gigantic amount of symbolism present in the game. Her mother's death is a big nightmare, and the Nile acts like a shield for the impact caused by the situation. It's a way of dealing with shock, and accepting as much as she can handle. A radical attitude, for sure, but necessary to begin the journey of acceptance. During the game, we find small lights that guide our way and literally transform into paths for Greece. We never discover what they truly are, but a valid interpretation is that they are her memories. Memories that build bridges for her. Like Greece was remembering the best moments as a way to understand that grief is a natural process, and, in the end, what remain are the best moments with the person, as if her good memories with her mother is one of the things that make her manage to progress. We see the statue from the beginning once again, now completely destroyed. Greece explodes in tears, something we'll see sometimes during the game, as a way to show the differences on her emotional stage. An explosion of color occurs. everything around her has changed, and we enter the second chapter of the game, Anger. The world shifts. Red paints the screen, and sandstorms rise. While denial is a stage of emotional closeness, anger is a moment of stagnation and recess. It happens as a way of acknowledging the existence of the situation, giving a little hope, and freeing an immense quantity of feelings. The second chapter of the game can be divided into two moments that are thematically different from one another. The first one is a moment of externalization of the feelings that were locked inside Gris. It is where the sandstorms attack, and all she can do is hide. Another situation that occurs every chapter is the learning of new abilities. Gris learns how to shape her dress like a heavy cube, giving her the strength she needed to surpass the storms, as so learning how to blind herself against anger. It is when we enter a big temple that we reach the divisory moment of the chapter, the mirror. We meet the shadow for the first time, little and apparently inoffensive, gaining number as we hit the ground. As soon as Gris is thrown out of where we were, it becomes clear the new theme of the chapter, the presence of gear and mechanisms always spinning. The representation that, with time, everything will be alright, that time builds the maturity she needs to face not only the death of her mother, but her inner demons, her feelings and weaknesses too. And with it, eventually, we find ourselves once again facing the statue, now in a better shape. Gris bursts in tears. Life is created. Plants grow around her, and her surroundings are painted green. We reach the third chapter, Bargain. She finally starts to be more open. Reluctant, Gris acknowledges the situation. It is a moment of search, of promises regarding religion or better life habits, of new objectives, and the belief that, with a few changes, everything will get better. More open to her surroundings, the protagonist meets a small creature, a friend, who follows us and who, when helped, guides Gris. It is because she's more open that, with the help of a friend, she is able to see the path that she needs to take. She then learns a new skill. Using her dress, and with the help of specific locations, Gris is able to perform extremely high jumps, and then glide. It is with this ability that she climbs wildly, without looking back. As soon as she reaches the highest point of the temple, she is surprised by the same birds she saw in the mirror, that, before her eyes, become something else. Something powerful. A monster shaped like a big black bird that, without thinking twice, attacks. So an intense battle is waged, with Gris avoiding the conflict and the creature chasing her. It's also because Gris is more open that she gets hit harder, hard enough to throw her into a bottomless pit. Depression, or fourth chapter. This chapter of the game begins with the explosion of blue tones, as the protagonist interacts once again with the mother statue, now almost completely rebuilt. What starts out as a moment of calm and beauty caused by the colors and rain soon changes. Gris throws herself from the statue, and we revisit a similar scenario to the one on the third chapter. now blue, almost lifeless. Depression, as seen in the model, is a moment of deep sadness, loneliness, and pain. It's a new moment of isolation, but this time because of the false feeling that there is nothing to be done. The character's path is a descent that seems endless, and in it, we see less and less light. Aided by the newly acquired skill, Gris submerges into the waters and descends even further, until she reaches pitch darkness. Along the way, she finds a shell, and after collecting all the memories, a new friend appears, a gigantic turtle that lights up the protagonist's path. Then, Gris falls into a place with no water, where another statue of her mother is, almost immaculate. In one of the most beautiful moments so far, Gris again bursts with emotion as she climbs into the statue's hand. The world takes on a new shape. She sees glimpses of a universe that was lost, and in the heat of the moment, she tries to sing. In a moment of carelessness, she opens up too much, and is again attacked by the shadows that now becomes another gigantic monster. He destroys the statue and sets off in a pursuit, while Gris desperately flees. When it seems that there is no way to escape, when the monster is about to end it all, we are surprised by a friendly help. Once again saved by others, Gris submerges from this pit of nothingness, and starting the last chapter of the game, Acceptance. Unlike the previous chapter, Gris climbs wildly. The world little by little fills up with more lively and warmer colors, while Gris sees things that she didn't see before. Acceptance is the embrace of reality. It is the feeling that everything will be fine, and that something close to normal will soon come. A certain optimism is conveyed by the style, color, music, and the presence of moments where, when crossing a barrier, Gris inverts her perspective as if she transformed her view to be able to move forward. When Gris returns to the temple, she recovers her voice, and with that, everything breaks free around her, and the protagonist's world literally spins, giving a new meaning to absolutely everything. We return to the initial temple. The stars connect and form a path for her to reach her long-awaited final destination. Gris is finally ready for her inner demons. As we climb the path built by the journey, we come face to face with the shadow, again for a clash. But this time, Gris doesn't intend to run away. When attacked, Gris is taken to another place, where she finds the statue, totally destroyed. It is by singing that Gris fixes it, thus forming a gigantic sea of darkness that tries in every possible way to consume her. When everything seems to have been in vain, the statue comes to life and sings along with Gris, releasing all the darkness and, as they sing, giving color to the scenery. She finally accepted that, in the end, her mother will never be there again. She lives only in her feelings and memories, like a statue to be praised. Loss is a shapeless monster, and grief distorts reality, increasing its size and power, eventually becoming an unreviled force. It is only through acceptance that it is possible to decipher this creature and find peace with our thoughts and feelings. Gris's journey is internal, and what we see is a representation of that. Each new color, a new way of looking at things, a new way of looking around and understanding everything in a different way. Elizabeth, the author of the model, says in one of the final chapters of the book, "We have discussed so far the different stages that people go through when they are faced with tragic news, defense mechanisms, in psychiatric terms, coping mechanisms, to deal with extremely difficult situations. This means will last for different periods of time, and will replace each other or exist at times side by side. The only thing that usually persists through all these stages is hope." The definition of hope is vague. It is something we build with our beliefs and experiences. For some, it can mean a prayer to God. For others, the simple idea of wishing the best. No matter what, it is something that makes us believe that things could go well. It is what drives us through acceptance, and without it, we are just like Gris at the beginning of the game. Gray, empty, and without reason to move on. Gris is the purest definition of art expressed in a video game. It is poetry, voice. It is the symbol of loss, and every step taken is a battle to find the voice and happiness that were lost. And although most of the secondary objectives deviate from the main meaning of the game, and in some situations even break moments of urgency, Gris builds an incredible narrative with unbelievable visuals and soundtrack. No matter what language you speak, or where you come from, Gris can communicate with everyone through polygons, animations, colors, and music. Nomada Studios' first game is a masterpiece, and for sure, a must-have for everyone who loves games. Well, don't forget to subscribe. We have much more content planned ahead. This channel is a personal project that I've been wanting to make a reality for so long, and it's finally seeing the light of day. And any support will be of great help. Until next time, bye.